Well, a whole lot has happened in the country. The call for state police, the talk about constitution review, as well as, this other one by oil marketers, and the prosecution in the law courts, as well as the other big issue people have been talking about, which is fixing the nation. Well, joining us now from our Abuja studios to talk about how well we can start looking inwards and trying to fix the nation is a productivity consultant, Sam Ikoku. Good to have you join us, Sam. Good morning. Well, starting off, people have always talked about Nigeria, and we always come on the program to talk about all the issues, all the problems, but there's one sore point that people have failed to come up with, and that is solutions to fixing the nation. Must we at every point in time go outside the country to pick example, just the way some analysts will say in the US it's not done this way, in Malaysia it's not done this way? What kind of example can we pick from Nigeria in making us a better nation?
Well, thank you for that question. I'm really happy someone's asking the question, because we seem to hear everything that's going wrong. We seem to, every single day, stories of something is wrong in this sector, something is wrong with that sector, Nigerians don't have the quality of life or the standard of living there. We know that. We are the ones who we're talking about. So I'm happy to hear that Channels is looking at, what's the way forward? What can we do to come out of this? I mean, everyone, I think, knows that you get more of what you focus on. And if we keep focusing on what's wrong, we'll never be able to remember our strengths and begin to focus on how to get out of it. So I think that over the years, over the last 2 decades, whatever chance we had of role models or examples to use from home have literally died, because we've only focused on what's negative. So now we're asking the right questions. I think that we're getting closer to a situation where we'll begin to refocus on our strengths, begin to draw homegrown examples, begin to make the youth especially understand that there is a great Nigeria that once was and can return. Many of them have never sensed it, looking at the kind of leadership we've had. So we just need now to begin to focus on some of the good things so that there can be enough traction to take us out of the hole we've dug for ourselves.
But isn't that giving ourselves false hope? Because some people will say, focusing on the good and pretending like as if you don't have problems is actually playing the ostrich. Don't you agree?
Well, I do not. Nobody's saying that you should deny your weaknesses. The truth is, you never get stronger by focusing on your weaknesses. You get stronger by focusing on your strengths. We need to report what's wrong with our country, but we need to balance that with reminding ourselves about who we really are. Really great people who can do wonderful things, and there should be balance.
The way it is now, when we talk about looking inwards, you talked about the strength. Some would ask, what kind of strength are you talking about? Maybe as an individual Nigerian, what should we be looking at this point in time?
Whenever I hear that question, I'm reminded of exactly what I'm trying to say. We focus so much on the weaknesses that Nigerians do not remember the strengths that they have. Yes, we know there's some jaundice to things we keep talking about, giant in the sun, tourism, and all of that stuff. But we do have real strengths. Number one, we have 150 million obviously resourceful people who've survived without electricity, who've survived without roads, survived without, all of those things. Despite that, we're still here. We have a country with a great number of youth who are entrepreneurial in spirit and just waiting for the right leadership to bring out the potential in them. We have an agricultural sector that's potentially massive, but untouched, literally, one that could rival oil in revenues. We have very energetic people who, if we were given the right policies and the right environment, could rival India in the next 5 years. We have great, tremendous strengths. And I'm not talking about tourism and culture. I'm talking about, looking at those pillars that we're using for 2020, for example, size of market, innovation, competitiveness. We have the potential. We just need to get these things working for us and then begin to experience what we really were born to experience in this country.
It's interesting that some of those things that you mentioned, those in positions of leadership are very well aware of them. The question is, how do we draw them out and utilize them? There have been numerous programs towards drawing them out, but they don't seem to have been able to do the job. There's a problem with the programs, or is a problem with the resources themselves, say the people, for instance?
Well, the people have been traumatized for a very long time. You know, when you've been without power, without security, without this, without that, when you've been told that you're less than optimal, you don't measure up to other people, when you have foreigners in your midst talking down at you, you begin to believe some of that stuff. The truth is, even government, when it has great policies, just, you know, announces them at a nice little conference with the press that's there. The people still need to be told how to access these things. There are great policies, there are great programs in this country, and people are not aware. Government has to go beyond just saying, I know I've done my best, and actually be concerned about getting people to enjoy the good things that they're doing. We need a government that's compassionate and goes beyond the call of duty to get people to take advantage. People are skeptical, people don't believe. If you said to people, I have 50 billion for you, they don't believe, because they know one or two people are there to just take the money away. This is all they've known over the last 2 or so decades. So it's time for government to go beyond just saying we have programs and begin to literally take people by the hand and show them how to benefit from them.
You know, the believability of some of these programs by the people is very important here. But does that kind of skepticism that the person holds also affect the program of the government?
I didn't quite get that. Could you come again, please?
From what you just said, it means that believability, or to believe in some of these programs and ideas from the government, is so key here and very important. But what about the skeptics amongst us? Does it affect the programs and ideals of the government, just in case we have loads and loads of skeptics amongst us?
Well, the skeptics, Suleiman, are part of the product of our focus on the negatives over the past few decades. They don't believe anything works. So you just finished a program on fuel subsidy. I mean, people are concerned. We have children of party officials indicted in fuel subsidy scams. We have all kinds of things. So people naturally think that if there's a good thing, if it's a workable thing, we won't hear about it. It's the ones that are not workable that we're told about. It's just skepticism, the result of all the years of abuse. But government has to step out and begin to say, no, come. You know, the door is open. Give them more information than they require. Hold them literally by the hand. And this is what I think NGOs should be doing. Helping people who are traumatized, who no longer believe, to take advantage of existing policies and keep reporting progress along those directions. And when other people see that their neighbors are benefiting from these programs, they'll come back to the table. And I think that will also encourage government to do more, because government is probably looking and thinking, look, we've done some good stuff and nobody notices it. They only notice the bad things that we do. So everybody's traumatized, the people, the government, everyone.